Hello. Today I wanted to try and film picking my MIWA U9 on camera. So this is a lock with a sidebar and 9 U-shaped type discs. The key, as shown, the discs come into contact on both sides of the key. So we have, in this particular lock, 6 discs or horseshoes on one side of the lock and 3 on the other side. Right now I have this mounted up with the keyway vertically. So we have the U-shaped discs on the bottom and the top, with the 6 on the top and the 3 on the bottom. But if it were actually in a lock or a door, the keyway would be horizontal. Now with this lock, it's taken quite a bit of time for me to try and figure out the how it works in the binding order in order to pick it. And as such, I would say I don't really, I'm not really that good at picking this type of lock. I've just learned this particular lock and the binding order in order to get it open. So one of the things with this lock is that there's some false gates, and I'll show them if we get it picked and open. And in order to prevent the lock from falling into these false gates, you need to push the discs past these false gates before it encounters them. Otherwise, I find it difficult to manage to get out of the false gates at all, so without resetting the lock altogether. And because of this, then it was more a matter of memorization of which discs will be in jeopardy of falling into a false gate, and at what point you can try and push them past that point in order to prevent that happening. So that's what I'm doing right now. Is the troublesome ones here at this stage are the last one on the bottom and the last one on the top. So before we go any further, I want to make sure that those are pushed past the false gate prior to setting a couple other pins. So it looks like we have that scenario, so we should be all right, hopefully. So the first 4 discs are fine. 5th one, 6th one are all loose. Okay, just going to switch to top of the keyway tension here and go into the bottom. First disc on the bottom is binding, second on the bottom. Okay, back to the top. Now I'm going to switch to a slightly deeper hook here. 1, 2, 3 are all loose, 4, 5, okay. Now it's the last one, 6. Okay, 6 seems good. So I switch back to the bottom. was the second one on the bottom. Now here's the first one on the bottom. Oh, and we have an open. So let's see if we can pull this thing apart and show you what's inside. Just move these out of the way. Okay. Would help if I lock it back up first. There we go. Okay, grab the key, and we'll just pull that out. So we have the sidebar and these two sidebar springs, and then we have the internals of the lock. Okay. So, make sure that's all in focus. So here we have all these 9 U-shaped discs, and each of them has its own separate spring. And you can see that on these discs they have serrations as well as some false gates. So let's see if I can get in there. So for instance, here's the third disc there, and you can see that first what's lined up with the sidebar groove right now, that's a false gate, and then we push it a little further over, there's the true gate. So, and on some of these they have the true gates in near the resting position. For instance, discs 1 and 2 here. Yeah, let's see if I can. Yeah, so there's 1. The resting position is pretty close to the true gate there. 2, but then for 3, the resting position is really close to the false gate, and so it needs to be pushed past that that position over towards the true gate. And same with on the bottom. All 3 of these on the bottom are what I was referring to them as the bottom on the side with 3 of these. They need to be pushed past that point where the false gate is and over to where the true gate is. So anyways, I think this is a really interesting locking mechanism, lock design. It's I find it quite challenging to pick and really cool. So we'll see. I might try and pick the next one and see if I can get a little bit better at getting a feel for these and understanding them, and maybe developing the picking technique a little bit further. So anyways, that's my MIWA U9 picked and disassembled. Cheers!